Good day. We are representatives of group number one. We will have a debate on digital integrity, which is an approach to determine the integrity of a prospective employee. On the proposition side, our panel consists of Alia Farisa, me, myself, Daniel Mendoza, and Umi Shafia. On the opposition side, our panel consists of Alia Diana, Aiman Hakim, and Afika Marozaman. We will start the debate now.
Okay. First, the I'm going to propose the advantage of such an approach to determine the integrity of a prospective employee. It was reasoned mainly to help um, the human resources professionals, to minimize hiring time and select the most qualified individual who best fits the organization, and particularly to determine the unique information that the test provide to help hiring managers assess a candidate's fit into company culture. And secondly, such an approach will allow hiring managers to better understand how to keep the individual employees engaged and stay motivated at work.
I agree with that, but in my opinion, firstly, the advantages of personality test is a waste of time. Personality tests can be time consuming, which may lead to job candidate frustration or even loss to other companies. Some personality assessment can take a lot of time and effort to complete. We may dissuade a potential candidate from going further with the application process. This is proven by test result in longer time to fill, giving one 20-minute test. To all shortlisted candidates can slow down your requirement process by several days. If you add various types of tests and an assignment, which is generally a good idea, prepare yourself for a lengthy process, it's still worth it, though SIN tests can improve quality of hire. Secondly, accuracy. While useful for gaining behavior insight, personality tests are not always the best indicator of how successful an individual will be in the job. This is particularly true with certain tests such as the four-quadrant test and Myers-Briggs assessment. Although these tests have not been valid as strong measure of job performance, they remain popular among employer. This can cause an applicant experience and training may conflict with the result of the test, and therefore make it more difficult for a manager to decide how to proceed. Lastly, personality tests can be costly to administer, which means it's very expensive to new candidate employment. Personality tests can be expensive, from paying for the test to paying someone to score the test. This need to be weighed against the likelihood that the right candidate will be offered the job. You have to pay for the test, although some versions are very cheap. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, I disagree with one of the points given by the previous panel, because, in my opinion, I believe that to implement a pre-employment testing process, the employer should firstly determine which tests are necessary, and secondly, they must select or develop a test that appropriately evaluates the knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics needed to monitor use of the test. And implementing a valid testing can be time consuming, but the wealth of information gleaned may be worth the effort for the employer.
I also disagree with the points given by the first opposition panel. In my opinion, I believe that the first advantage of digital integrity as an approach to determine the integrity of a prospective employee is personality tests. Personality tests will take place when employers want to hire employees that can offer more to the table than just work-related skills. This test is very valuable because it ensures whether the candidate is fit for the team and company that they are applying for. This kind of approach will determine the level of competencies that employees have in applying for jobs, and it gives the Human Resources Department a clearer part in selecting future competent employees. The second advantage of this approach is cognitive tests. Cognitive tests are carried out in order that the level of job performance that employees can offer. Through this approach, candidates will be assessed based on their ability to think efficiently and to solve problems effectively. In this way, employers will be able to determine employees with high level of cognition, which are capable of solving problems quickly. Lastly, aptitude tests or skills assessment tests. Aptitude tests is important to determine an individual's weaknesses, which will help a company to determine the training programs that are needed to implement for individuals to improve those specific skills. That's all from me. Proceed to the next panel.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. But in my opinion, as the previous panel stated, the main advantage on digital integrity as an approach to determine the integrity of prospective employee is personality test is reprehensible, and it is because the employee can mislead the result of their personality test. With this approach, when applying for a job, the employee can get advantage from the mislead result to get a good job, but not within their path. For cognitive tests, there are limitations in using it, such as poor sensitivity. They may miss some individuals with cognitive impairment, and poor specificity, which is they may falsely detect cognitive impairment when there is none. On the third point from the previous panel also stated that aptitude tests are important. Yes, aptitude tests have been well accepted as a medium to assess a candidate ability. However, critics argue that there are several disadvantages of aptitude tests that cannot be ignored. Essentially, these tests fail to consider aspects such as artistic ability, musical intelligence, social ability, and many more. The awareness of why aptitude tests are bad or limited in their approach will allow recruiters and companies to have a more accepting approach toward their selection criteria. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, I agree with the previous panel, but I also have my opinion. Faking is a problem for all kind of testing. Our employee integrity tests make it easy for candidates to tell employers that what they want to hear. For example, candidates may have to read statements like, I have lied to my boss to get out of trouble, or I would steal from work if I could get away with it. Most candidates will instantly know which answers are acceptable. So people who score high on an integrity test could either be ethical paragons or accomplished liars. There is a way how to deal with candidates faking their answer. Many tests contain mechanisms to catch lies, such as lie scale. Also, some research suggests that faking doesn't affect ranking of candidates, although it might affect overall score. So, a well designed test can be effective to decide which candidates will proceed in the hiring process. Of course, deceptive people can still pass, and sometimes faking can have an effect on hiring decision. Therefore, employers need to conduct other tests as well, such as cognitive ability tests. This is because using integrity tests can improve the predictive validity of cognitive tests. In fact, research show that the two tests together have the highest predictive strength for job performance. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Umi. I'm amazed with your point, but in my opinion, I personally believe that the expression fake it till you make it belongs in the hallowed host of cliches at this point. It has been bandied about with great aplomb since the 70s and is regularly invoked to encourage pretest with regard to an element of one's character or capabilities. But there's a fine line between that sentiment and a flat outline, and you had better be on the right side of it if your business or career is at stake. The law of attraction movement is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into someone's life. A central concept of the movement is to act as if you already have it. This in itself is fine and is not too different from the notion of visualizing your future successes and achievements in an attempt to manifest the behaviors necessary to get you there. Faking it for the right reasons can change you for the better, but getting it wrong can create all kinds of problems with trust and transparency. So how do you know when it's safe to do so? Faking behaviors, yes, but faking competences is a big no. Many of us would like to improve some element of our character or personality that we feel might be holding us back. Perhaps be more confident, disciplined, or ambitious. If we can clearly identify what that is, we can start by changing our behavior with the goal of having it become more natural over time. One of the more common issues that many people struggle with, for example, is a lack of confidence. As you grow your business or advance your career, at some point you will likely to have deliver a presentation to a room full of people, pitch an idea, a product, or to raise money. Even though you might know your material backwards, if you are not naturally confident in a situation like that, you can still feel nauseous for hours in advance. There is only one way to get through it. Push yourself to do it anyway. Swallow your fear, stand up, and deliver your message. In truth, unless you completely fall apart, no one will even know how nervous you were at the time because you act as if you felt otherwise. The same is true for those who are not natural extroverts. The idea of meeting and talking to new people is abhorrent, and frankly they did more at ease on a dentist chair. But hovering at the side of a room hoping no one will notice you is not going to improve your odds of success. Instead, force yourself to act as if you are not against at the thought of first conversations. Put on a smile and say hello to everyone. Eventually, you will figure out that a lot of the folks in the room feel the same way you do about these situations. It won't get easier immediately, but it will over time. You may never love the idea of engaging with new people, and you can certainly learn how to hate it less. So as the conclusion, I know that the unfortunate truth is that simply wanting to be better at something isn't going to make the slightest difference. You either know how or you don't. This is where faking it crosses over to the dark side and suddenly you are lying. You can't pretend to be fluent in a foreign language if you can hardly string a sentence together. You can't tell an investor that you have exceptional financial argument if you can barely work Excel. You can't tell a prospective customer that your product will solve their problem if it won't. Don't lie about you or your company or product capabilities, because if you do and you get found, then you have just lost your person trust. So that's all for our debate today about digital integrity from our group. Thank you.